Joining us now on the hotline, Fox Sports 1, Bleacher Report, NBA insider extraordinaire Ric Bucher. And Rick, not the first couple of days we expected in the NBA playoffs, but it's the first couple of days we got. Who are you more concerned about after Game 1, the Bucks or the Lakers?
I would have to say the Lakers, because I can see where the Bucks, there are certain things that they can do to improve, certain things that they've done in the bubble that they didn't do against Orlando. But the Lakers demonstrated that they are the same team that we've seen throughout the bubble. The three-point shooting is not there. The defending the three is not there. And I'm just not convinced that that is going to change at this point. I don't have any reason to believe that it's going to change at this point. That game was played at the tempo that the Lakers preferred. And the Blazers simply said, well, we know what all we have to do is stay close. It's going to come down to a three-point shooting contest at the end, and we think we've got your number. And if you're asking me right now, do I take Lillard, McCollum, Gary Trent Jr., and Carmelo Anthony to knock down threes versus Caruso, Kuzma, AD, and LeBron? I know which four I'm going with.
He added Carmelo. That's my guy.
The thing is, Rick, is that to lose the game, I get it. You can go back and look and say, all right, maybe the Lakers were regular season strong. It looked like they'd figured it out before COVID-19 hit. But the last 30 seconds, it's a 5-point game, and the Lakers basically stop playing. They don't foul. They don't send the Blazers to the free throw line. And to basically quit at the end of a two-possession game, not only did they take a Game 1 loss that's already going to be difficult, now you've thrown in, where's the leadership? I can't believe this happened. You just basically stop playing. How do you stop playing at the end of a playoff game? This is not Game 1 in the bubble where you're trying to get back, and if we lose, we lose. It really doesn't matter. This is the playoffs.
Yeah, I get that. But, to be honest, look, LeBron is going to make the play or he's not going to make the play. To think that they're going to look to anybody else on this particular Lakers team to do something dynamic at the end is simply unrealistic. And I have seen LeBron do this before, where he takes his time in situations where I'm thinking, if you want to give yourself a chance to win, you have to go now. You have to attack now. It's not the first time, and I wish I could cite, chapter and verse on the times that I've seen it. But the fact of the matter is I have seen it before, and it was just as puzzling then as it is now. And so it's not out of character. It's almost like he calculates, oh, we can't get this. Doesn't look like we're going to get this. I'm going to save myself for another day. And so I can't explain it, but I can't, I won't say that I haven't seen it before.
Sure. And certainly already opened the door with the comments, hey, these guys aren't just an 8 seed, and even going back about 2 weeks ago, talking about issues that were being had here. So, he's laying the groundwork of, hey, don't expect heroics while trying to deliver heroics. Kind of an interesting way to go about it. Yeah,
well, look, he has said, and I think there's a certain truth to it, that Anthony Davis is going to have to be, a great player, and Kyle Kuzma is going to have to be their third best player and sometimes their second best player. LeBron has done so many amazing things and has so many accomplishments, but when it comes to ultimate leadership, you take what Damian Lillard is doing, a lesser talented player, but you haven't heard Damian talking about anybody else, what somebody else needs to do. Damian talks about what he has to do and what he has done to prepare for this moment and what he believes his team is capable of doing. LeBron, when was the last time you heard LeBron talk about his team and say, I think this is a championship team? No matter how we've played, I think we're a championship team. He hasn't expressed that kind of confidence in this group. And honestly, I think there's a reason. I think the reason that they approached the regular season the way they did and the way he approached the regular season was because he knew, that if I'm going to prove that I can compete in the West and I'm going to make a statement this year with the Lakers, it better be during the regular season. And maybe I can add a championship to it. But there's just too many unknowns with this team in terms of how it was going to respond in the postseason. The number one question being with Anthony Davis. And again, down the stretch, both LeBron and AD missed crucial free throws. Mm-hmm. And then neither one of them, this becomes a three-point shooting contest. I don't care if you're 0 for 15. If your team looks to you and that's what you need to pull it. You need to take that shot. I don't care what your percentage is. You have to have the guts to say, I'm going to at least try to make the play necessary to win this game. And, working it to the post or driving baseline, whatever it might have been, and then kicking it, and I've heard this way too many times, making the right basketball play. I'm sorry, Alex Caruso's never been in the playoffs. I'm not going to ask him to make a shot that's going to try to win me game one. I'm LeBron James.
He was plus 12 on the court, Rick.
The thing is, Rick, is that as I mentioned at the beginning, before COVID-19 hit, the Lakers looked like they had figured it out. Right? It was all the problems they had. They didn't make the big move, but they looked like they figured it out. Then they went and added Dion Waiters. Not to say that things would have been different, but what are you seeing differently in the Lakers now? What you see tonight, what you've seen so far in the bubble, compared to that team that just started rolling through teams right before COVID-19 hit?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, obviously, Avery Bradley had really come on, and he was knocking down shots. And in the game, that we think of most is them beating the Clippers. And Avery Bradley had a huge game, and they had found a rhythm and a confidence in that group. And this was my concern with the stoppage in play, is that they got 5 guys that they rely on who are 30 years plus, and it takes a while. You need a longer on-ramp to get going and to find that rhythm. I also feel as if they're a little bit like the San Antonios and the old Utah Jazzes, where they were playing with an efficiency during the regular season that was as close to their max as you would expect. I mean, who were you looking to say this guy's going to take another step up in the postseason? I mean, maybe you could say Anthony Davis, although he was having a career year. Were you asking it of Kyle Kuzma? He's never been in the playoffs before. I mean, that's where it got thin all of a sudden. So I feel as if they were playing close to their max during the regular season, where, the Clippers were not, and there were other teams that were kind of coasting along or had made changes, like the Rockets with Harden and Westbrook, and had to find their way. And so that was the difference. And now it's, okay, now can you go to the next level? And maybe we're finding out that the Lakers will be lucky if they can get back to the level that they had.
Ric Bucher, our guest, the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon here on Fox Sports Radio from the Geico Studios. Bleacher Report senior writer. You see him on FS1. Speak for yourself. The Bucher and Friends podcast. He's everywhere. At Ric Bucher is where you find him on Twitter. RICBUCHER is the tag there. Take a look at all the goodness he's laying out for you. And Rick, to go off the court, I guess, to the baseline, as it were, we've got new video going back to last year's championship. Masai Ujiri with a countersuit now with the body cam footage showing, here he is with his badge, putting it away, thinking he'd already cleared whatever security, but then taking a shove, trying to show again. You got people yelling, hey, he's kind of a big deal. Says he doesn't care. So now we've got a countersuit. Where does this end, and how does the NBA try to get everybody to play nice here?
Yeah, I'm not sure where it ends. I can tell you that I was right there, and I sort of saw the aftermath of that whole thing and security people talking about it. And then I found out pretty quickly that there had been some exchange. Look, it was very confusing down there on the floor, but I don't know. I can tell you that that Masai, I know the attorney that he has retained for for this battle. And I don't expect that. Well, I don't know. I can't say that I expect that they're gonna continue this, but with the current climate, I would not be surprised if they did to make a point about exactly what's going on. And there's a lot of people that question are people of color looked at, viewed at different, and this would be an opportunity for Masai to say, hey, look, the next time anybody in the position of the cop or the security, maybe you need to think twice before you start shoving somebody around.
Ric Bucher, our guest here, the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. Now, for a better story, Rick, this may be as good as it gets for the three of us, and I'll explain why. Is because we made our picks last week for the NBA Finals. I look, there's going to be a lot of chaos. I pick Rockets over the Heat. Mike has the Nuggets in the finals. Your Raptors look great. This may be as good as it gets for all of us. I think we all feel pretty good about our picks right now. I mean, I don't know we can be able to say this in a week, but right now I think we all feel pretty good.
Yeah, but I would say that I probably feel the best, right? Right?
Sure.
Well played.
I mean, you guys
yeah.
should feel good. You guys should feel good, but I think you probably know this is like ice cream. It's melting. You better take advantage of it now. It's because I don't know that it's going to be sustained. Whereas my Raptors, I think they'll.
You just slide right into my Raptors. You slide right in there,
My
Rick.
Raptors.
I think after 2 games, the Nets will just go, hey, you know what? We're good. We're good. Well, we want to go home. We want to see our families. Like, we're good.
I think they're good now.
I think you guys still have some battles on your hands.
Oh, there's a lot of sweating, no question. I got Denver, Boston, because I didn't want to jump on board your Raptors because you had already made them so clearly months ago, Rick. I mean, that was your team, and I felt like I would be encroaching and violating our friendship if I decided to jump on board there.
See, if I didn't know you as well as I do, I would just lap that up. But I know you're setting me up right now. Because we'll have the receipts, we'll have the tape. If I bought into this right now, we'd be replaying this, 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now if the Raptors don't get there. Hey, remember that, Rick? Remember how good you were feeling? Yeah, what happened? So I'm not going there. I am not joining the party. I'm just going to say, based on everything that we saw in the game ones, I am confident that the Raptors will be moving on, and I cannot say the same for your teams.
Well, here's what I'm going to say, because then I want to get to the real big topic from the top. I will say this, Rick, because if you're feeling good, the Detroit Pistons in 2004, and I'm going to say the Washington Bullets in 1978. The last 2 teams to win the NBA title without a surefire.
Just casually came up with those.
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
Casual.
The last 2 teams to win the NBA championship without a superstar player on their roster, a superstar Hall of Fame type player. I don't see that on the Raptors. I see James Harden. I don't see that on the Raptors.
No, that's fair. I think that's very fair, but I would say keep in mind what we've never seen is a team playing in a championship in a bubble without fans, without home court, without having to play in front of hostile crowds and the travel and all that, and just all the pressures. It's not just the crowds and it's not just the travel. It's just the whole atmosphere that puts pressure on players if they've never been there before. And this is like an AAU tournament. These guys have all been in this circumstance. So I think that the quality of your complementary players is able to shine through in a greater way. That playoff experience, and certainly obviously the Raptors have that, what they don't have is the playoff experience of guys stepping up and making big shots and having to do that, with a crowd screaming at them, 20,000 people screaming at them with 6 seconds left and down by 1, that like all of that is off. So then it just becomes ability to play. And the Raptors, talent-wise, just have a combination along with a coach who knows how to utilize it all that I think makes them dangerous. Look, your point is valid. We need to see them, come down the line in a Game 6 or a Game 7 in situations where Kawhi would take over and you knew Kawhi was going to give you something and guys could play off of that. We don't know if they have that. I don't know if Pascal Siakam is up for that. But they have guys that have done it in doses with Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry and Siakam. And so I think the potential is there, and the potential of that coming out sooner rather than later, I think the bubble enhances that possibility. I'll put it that way.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ric Bucher. That is at Ric Bucher, Fox Sports 1, Bleacher Report, NBA Insider. I guess we'll get Matt Bucher on next week. Your son, who gave us some play-by-play last week, he's missing tonight.
Yeah. No, he was here. He was here, and then he listened to my first 3 minutes, and he rolled his eyes and he left. So.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's experience the same for all of us, Rick.
All right. Note to self: next week, book Matt Bucher for entire interview.
Actually, I was not at the house, and I called Matt, and I said, you may just have to do the interview for me. So I may set him up to do that next week.
Nice. We would.
Well,
Hey, he gave us some hot takes last week. Looking forward to next week.
Oh, you heard nothing. Wait, he'll break it. Yeah, he'll break it down for you.
He knows you can't curse on the air, right? That's as long as he knows that.
No. I hate to carry this on, but the reality is he's the one who says to me, Dad, language. Here he is. Hey, Matt.
Oh, all right. We'll tell Matt to get ready for next week. We'll do it next week with him.
I'll tell him to get ready. All
right. Thanks a bunch, Rick.
Beautiful. Thanks, Rick.